Hello, everybody! Welcome and welcome back. Ugh, this was extremely close to one of the best episodes of Disventure Camp to date for me. This is hands down the funniest episode of Disventure Camp of all time. The comedy was simply immaculate, and it kind of just brings to light like, damn, we lost so much entertainment in this first half of the season. I have to shed a tear here because, oh goodness, this episode reminded me exactly why I love some of these eliminated contestants so much. But it also makes me sad because now there's a 100% chance I'll never see them again for the rest of the season. It's like a tragedy in the making. And compounding on all of these high emotions is the person who actually won the comeback challenge, which I will get into in their own section. But first, let's talk Finn. By far the biggest highlight of the episode for me. I don't care. This episode really leaned into the gay, the drama queen, and the pure evilness of it all, and I adore him for that. Every single interaction between him and Aubrey was simply perfection, like him gloating about being a Scorpio rising just to rub it in her face. I cannot write anything better. That was simply marvelous. All of this because Aiden gave him a little lie to distract him, and he bought into it so easily. Also, his last minute betrayal of Ara to get the ostrich? Iconic. And also, shout out to Anastasia for her reaction to all of his shenanigans. She was totally ready to just watch the fireworks from afar, and oh my goodness, that is so me for real. I might consider putting Finn as my number 2 contestant of all time. That's how much it all really worked for me. He is one hell of an entertaining character. Aubrey as well. What an amazing character, honestly. Perfect first boot. We see her annoy the crap out of everyone on Rescue Island, and the interactions she had with Finn were spectacular. She really was a joke through and through, but I don't mind because it's all in good fun. On to Ara. Very fun presence, especially when reunited with Finn. It's like two villainous peas in a pod. However, the interesting part is the lore drop she had with Dunia, and we get to see a bit of her perspective on the relationship with Nura, where while it started with a lie, she did start developing feelings. I'm fairly certain we'll come back to this idea with the jury questioning, and we'll see how Ara and Nura reconcile. As is, I think it was pretty cool of Ara. Next is Anastasia, another clear highlight for me this episode. It was really nice to get some of that season 4 energy back. I loved seeing her be so incredibly competitive with the other contestants, and all the resulting banter that comes from it was very fun to watch. I also really appreciated how direct and to the point she was, especially with Benji in particular. With someone like him, it may sound harsh, but at a certain point, there's no other way but to be blunt about the situation and tell it like it is. I liked all of Anastasia's scenes this episode, and all of her actions here are indeed quite characteristic of her. They kind of made me reminisce about season 4 a bit, and if y'all don't already know, that's the one thing that will always resonate with me. For Aiden, he's probably my first disappointment of the episode. He had such an extreme reaction to Ally's betrayal in episode 2, and considering his complete instability from that point onwards, I was so certain we'd circle back to this, the starting point of it all. But unfortunately, no conversation with Ally was had, and we never got closure to that dynamic. And in a confessional, Aiden did name drop Rhea as a comparison to his run in the season. I think it's fine by itself, but golly, wouldn't it be really interesting if he mentioned this to Ally, considering both of their prior experiences with her? Pretty big missed opportunity in my eyes. On to Ally. She's a character that I thought was way too underutilized this season, and this episode was no different. Instead of Ally talking with Aiden, she's wrapped up with Benji. And to be honest, it's not my cup of tea. I felt like her conversation with Benji was too much of a repeat of what happened in episode 10. Ally's back to offering her words of encouragement and being Benji's cheerleader. I don't think it was necessary at all, since it was Anastasia's motivation that pushed Benji to change, not Ally's. In my opinion, we should have just left Ally with Aiden and Benji with Anastasia and leave it at that. Finally, I leave these two contestants for last because they were the main people I was making predictions on. I was very sure on Dunia coming back and Benji staying, but evidently that didn't happen. And I'm pissed because that is some serious egg on my face. I got this prediction so horribly wrong, and honestly, my pride is still wounded by it. Starting with Dunia, oh, I expected so much better from her. Her not having the opportunity to come back and do more in the show kind of just solidifies my prior disappointment in her. She's been consistently relegated to the support character role to prop up Ren and Nura's stories for her entire run. And that by itself isn't bad per se, but we unfortunately never get to explore Dunia herself as a character. Dunia is a character that really lacked any motivation outside of her relation to Nura. She wants Nura to be happy. But I do have to put into question, what drives this motivation? Why is Nura so special to her? And the only answer I have is that she's simply doing this out of the kindness of her heart. I wanted more substance, more depth to Dunia's involvement. But unfortunately, we'll never get that because of her loss this episode. Part of why I was rooting so hard for Dunia to win the comeback was so she could have her redemption following that humiliating blindside. And I really felt like the content she had during the pre-merge would lay a really nice foundation for her return. I think episode 12 established a few interesting characteristics for her, particularly her inability to pick a side. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too and keep both Ren and Nura despite their increasing hostility towards each other. And the way she went about it was creating a plan for a three-way tie between Ren, Nura, and Ara, with the hopes that Ara loses the tiebreaker. It really goes to show her naivete and her desperation at this moment, since there is no way for this plan to realistically work. The margins for this vote were so tight. All it takes is one person to vote unexpectedly to blow it all up. And what happened was that Ara, Sam, and Olivia banded together and flipped the script onto Dunia, eliminating her. It would have been so nice to see Dunia come back, have a new resolve to play the game, and alter her gameplay in a way where she doesn't end up in the same situation. In my mind, the puzzle pieces were there for her to be a bright, shining star in the post-merge, pun intended. Evidently, though, that didn't happen and we're kinda leaving Dunia in this pitiful state. On to Benji. Honestly, I'm highly annoyed he won. His pre-merge storyline sucked so much, in my opinion, that I don't think there was anything he could do post-merge that could redeem it. I just wanted to leave that all behind as fast as possible and accept it for what it is. But clearly there's more to Benji's story, so that's something that will be revisited. The main reason why I was so against Benji returning is really just that, his pre-merge storyline. It felt way too simple and self-contained for it to really take off on its own and meaningfully add to the season. And from what I've seen from this episode, I don't think that opinion has changed. We didn't need Benji to come back to resolve this storyline. If Benji lost to Anastasia at the end, I would have been completely satisfied with his story ending there. All that being said, I won't harp on it too much. For now, I think the prudent thing to do is to focus on what the future episodes could offer now that Benji's back. Here's my expectations and hopes. I have a very strong feeling that Rosa and Benji will reconnect, and this will probably be one of Benji's main dynamics moving forward. Rosa is a character who tried and ultimately failed to change Benji's mindset, and there was quite an emphasis on this in episodes 9 and 10, so I'm thinking there's more to explore here. I also have the impression that Benji will interact with Nura as well. Don't quote me, but I have heard that they've spoken positively of each other in greetings. But the main thing to take away is that these are both characters that have struggled with following their passion and finding fulfillment in life. So that's some common ground that they share. I think this is Benji's main way of connecting to the season's story and overall themes. As for what I hope will happen, but probably won't, I desperately want him to connect with either Natalia or Spencer. Obviously, I'm biased towards season 4 connections, so I absolutely want that ball rolling in some way. His dynamic with Spencer continuing on from season 4 was something that I've always wanted to see out of season 5, and I was massively disappointed that it didn't happen during the pre merge. I think Spencer's story could benefit from someone like Benji to kind of show why Spencer's line of thinking is flawed. Spencer is one who is adamant about playing a dishonest game, and from what I've seen, he has a very tainted view of Season 4. He has a very tainted view of Logan, and a very tainted view of Jade as well. For example, for as much as Spencer says he wants to emulate Jade's style of gameplay this season, I don't think he's correctly following the same steps that Jade had that allowed her to succeed. What I think Season 4 actually demonstrated is that there's a middle line between playing honestly and dishonestly, and finding that Goldilocks zone is what ultimately makes you a better player. If Spencer's gonna continue misconstruing what actually happened in Season 4, I think it would be most fitting for someone else also from the season, like Benji, to challenge that perception. And coincidentally enough, Benji was also someone who went into Season 5 also wanting to emulate Jade's gameplay. He has first hand experience of trying and failing to implement Jade's strategy, so I think it could be something to connect back to. I think perhaps we could also tie this dynamic with Spencer back to Season 4's Red Team in some way. The Vibe Tribe is a group that's undyingly loyal and honest to each other, and Benji is the only Season 4 representative this season that has a connection to that. I think it would be quite poetic if Benji was able to share that perspective with Spencer, especially considering that Spencer was the first one to take a shot at a Vibe Tribe with Tristan's elimination. I think it would really tie up Spencer's story in a nice, neat little bow. What gives me pause though is that it doesn't seem like Spencer's story will go this direction. When Benji got eliminated, Spencer didn't even react. I think it would have been oh so juicy if Spencer looked at the Benji and Ally situation, saw Ally benefit from making the move, and have that reaffirm his beliefs of playing a dishonest game. It's such a missed opportunity that Spencer never spoke a word to Benji pre-merge, and he didn't speak much with Ally either, even though they both share similar styles of gameplay. Overall, Benji this season really did feel like a letdown during the pre-merge. There were a myriad of opportunities for Benji to leave more of an impact on the season and even connect back to his experience in Season 4, but that didn't happen. What we got was a very simple, boring friendship with Ally, and a simple, boring storyline of him locking in and actually starting to play. And it sucks, because that's 99% of his content for the first 10 episodes and this comeback challenge. It really puts into question what about this storyline is so special that warrants a Benji comeback. Are there any interesting avenues that could be derived from this? In all honesty, I cannot answer that question. Needless to say, my expectations are heightened now, and I will be putting Benji under a microscope for the rest of the season. But as critical as I am, I'll try to keep as open of a mind as possible. I do have faith in the writers to pull something interesting off. To what end? I'm unsure, but all we can really do is buckle up for the next episode to be released, because I think it will answer a lot of questions about Benji's trajectory in this season. If Benji does happen to have a really strong post-merge, I think I'd be able to compartmentalize that and sweep his pre-merge under the rug. I'm not here expecting perfection out of Disventure Camp. I'm just here to give my honest thoughts and opinions and tell it like it is. I hope I haven't come off as too negative in the last few sections because I do want to focus on the positives and what I personally enjoyed. It just so happens that Benji's win here is much too important to ignore. I want to make it very clear. I still very much enjoyed the episode. Honestly, I thought it was amazing. Top 5 of the season for me. I just highly disagree with the end result. For now though, that's the end of the video. I'll catch you all next time. See you later.